as the future's left to navigate. One of the two drivers hits the wall, it's down to the rookie. He goes for a late apex, carrying a bit more action speed with him. Catching up to the leader, but is it enough to get past? It's a track race to the line!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and all of the kind. Welcome to Tmwt NCSA Regionals, the final regional of the season, folks. I hope you're excited because I am excited. I am your host, your caster, your broadcaster, everything. I am randomized, and I got the privilege to be able to cast today's NCSA. Finally, we have a cast here for NCSA, and I'm very excited about this. But we are going to be getting started into this match relatively soon as the pick and bans are going, and I wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on today. So apparently there's only going to be 8 teams that are going to be playing in today's regional. So we're going to be doing about 3 rounds today and potentially 3 rounds tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it fits. As you can see on your screen, we got some pick and bans going on right now. We're going to be joining... let me double check 100% what we were doing, but I believe it is Wolves versus Air Kentucky. So look forward to that. I also do have another game going on this other side. If you want to check it out, let's look at it real quick. We got 2 games going on right now. Into this one, so don't worry too much. I'm going to be keeping an eye on everything for you guys, keeping you filled in, trying to do my best as a solo everything today. I do have SRK chilling with me in the room as a voice in my ear, so if there's anything that we need to let you know, we'll let you know. Oh, yeah, that's right. The scenes get swapped. Thank you for the heads up. Again, I am kind of rocking this on my own, so I do apologize if there are any problems. But like I was saying earlier, that anything that is going on, I will be able to kind of keep you up to date when we have 2 screens. So looking forward to trying. I'm experimenting, basically. I'm all by myself experimenting with some cool stuff for y'all. So I hope you look forward to it. But we are going to be getting into our first match. Again, because this is the top 8 bracket, we are instantly going into a double elimination of a best of 7. So it's just like I believe the APAC region does it. So MIA, sorry, excuse me. MIA does a double elimination, best of 7s across the board. So I hope you all like that. And as we see, we have players lying on the ground. So just to give some information, just so you all know what we're going to be really focusing on right now, currently, since this is the last regional, this is what's going to lead into the wild card. This is where players are going to have a chance at the final chance bracket to really push into getting the top 4 seeds in the NCSA part, going into basically moving forward to the World Championship. That's the main focus that everyone's going to be doing. So right now, Damascus Gaming is sitting pretty. They don't even have to play today. They are beautiful. But Damascus Gaming already with 43 points. Air White with 18. 100% Canadians who has not played at all during this stage, sitting at 14. And Yep Team at 13 points. But there are still a lot of teams that have a chance to really push in. It really depends on who is going to be playing today. Halcyon Dairy only needs 3 points to get in. Final Form needs 4. Air Green with 4, who is not playing today. Halcyon Blue needs 5 points. Air Kentucky also needs 5 points. And Trolla needs 8 to get into the grand final, or excuse me, to move towards the wild card. Unfortunately, my team, Air Aqua, we're not playing today, but I was really looking forward to it. So anyway, no big deal. Let's get into this. Air Kentucky in the blue, Wolves Esports in the red. And we're going to get into the first map pick, which is Air Gap. Or as some of players like to call it, the Spare Gap. I like it. It's a Airwalk, excuse me. It's an easy map, and it's not too hard to get through. And as I say, that dummy decides to throw. But it is relatively one of the easier tracks, but the identity of Airwalk can be a little bit of a struggling matter. So we'll see how the player's going to be playing this one out. Cosmos up in the front, Stokine and Freezer hanging out right in behind. Unfortunately, Dummy +4 behind. So Cosmos is going to be in position to go for that draw and really try to set the tone right to show that even if one of our players is out, we're still going to be able to get up there into the identity now of Airwalk up into the air. Cosmos still up in front. Stokine trying to go for the lower attack at it, but starts off with a draw. And I'm looking forward to this match, folks. I hope you all, too, get hype in that chat. Because we got some games going on today. Surprisingly, though, I do want to bring this up for you all. Again, I'm going to be doing my best to give you some information. Let's show this on screen. That's right. If you are looking at the screen right now, Damascus Gaming is down 7-2 in their first match, which is pool. Not something I was expecting to see, but again, Damascus Game is sitting pretty this time. Not really a big deal for them, so they don't really have to worry about it. Dummy now is up in front. Cosmos is the one to fall behind. Stokine and Dummy fighting for that first and second place. Freezer falls a little bit behind Cosmos as we are starting to get closer to the identity up this bend here. The mini identity here. Oh, Cosmos ends up tagging the wall. He's out of this one, so now it's going to be really up to Dummy if he's going to be able to set up another draw. Stokine and Dummy both approach the identity. Dummy going with a little bit more speed to stay lower. It's working really nice for him. Oh, but he hits the side. He's somehow able to swing around and get in there. So another draw. Dummy a little close for that final one moment there. But nicely done by Dummy to be able to hold Air Kentucky in there. I gotta say, I'm a little bit of a biased conductor. Sorry, getting hyped as a solo cast. But I'm a little biased, because I am from the Air Squad. But Wolves Esports, a very good team. Stokine, I have had my eyes on him for a while. Really good player. So we will see how these two will match up. Just again, for anyone that is tuning in, this is a best of 7 as we only have 8 teams. So best of 7 double elimination bracket. Can't complain about that. That's just a lot of Trackmania to watch today. So, and we go into the no break section. Cosmos ends up losing that one. Stokine and Freezer falling a little bit behind Dummy. And Cosmos, unfortunately, is going to be out of this one. It's really going to come down to if anyone makes any mistakes here. Dummy goes a little bit farther out to the side, but gets into that ring. Another draw coming into this first track. So we got a good match on our hands, folks. Let's get into this one. If only Dummy and Cosmos can both just simultaneously work together and not make a bump, we may be able to push forward into this. But unfortunately, one of the two always ends up risking a little bit too much. Freezers and Stokine both playing a really good, consistent play. And it's only going to see if either one of those two can make a better push. Dummy is going to be the first one out of that jump and leading the line. Currently in a victory position for Air Kentucky to break this draw, but it really comes down to if both Dummy and Cosmos can get a clean run together. Stokine really starting to make a push onto Dummy. Playing it a lot more safe into that one. Starting to approach the identity, getting to this plastic. Make sure not to eat that gear. And all 4 players approaching the identity. Cosmos looks like he's going a little wide. No, he's able to get the back wheel. Oh, Dummy ends up making a mistake. We had a moment where we could even seen an ace. Just like that, Dummy misses the ring, and we have another draw on hand. So, Dummy definitely is the one player I would say that does not like this one. We are seeing, what's confusing me, folks, is that I do have Trolla on the other screen, yet we're seeing Trolla gameplay happening here. So, pretty surprised about that one. As you can see, Trolla actually did win that first match against Damascus Gaming. They are up 1-0. So really cool to see what's it called? To see someone actually pushing on DG, making some pressure. And finally, we have Dummy and Cosmos up in front. Again, Stokine is trying to get in the middle of the two of them. But that drift did not work out well for him. So both Air Kentucky players will be approaching the identity first. Now it really comes down to the two of them will be able to pull off the identity correctly. And it looks like they both got a good bounce. And it looks like we have our first ace, folks. Air Kentucky on track point. All it took them was one clean run, and now they're in a better position. But at the end, anything can happen in that identity, as we saw that last round. On to our 6th round of our first track, a best of 7. Air Kentucky are looking to try to get an ace and clean this one up, but with Cosmos having a little bit of a mistake there, it's not looking like he's going to be able to do that. Wolves Esports now in a position to actually tie it up again. Freezers goes a little bit wide. Dummy's going to be coming on the inside, try to build up some exit speed. Playing it really tight. If he's going to be able to get through that one, he does. Oh, Stokine ends up crashing. So Cosmos is now up in front. We are looking at a victory position for Air Kentucky. Try to get that 2-1. Freezer is going to try to deny the ace. Cosmos is really pushing this one, coming down low. He's able to hit that spring first. And just like that, a beautiful ace, and Air Kentucky will take the first map. Oh, that is a good GG. Stokine, wrong spring, man. Good first track. You know, it was. I really thought we were going to see a lot more draws, but Air Kentucky was able to clean up their gameplay towards the end and really push into that one. And nicely done as we move into our second track. And this one is going to be Grip, I believe. Let me check. This is a beautiful thing about commands in the chat. I can see that one. Airwalk was the first one. Grip will be the second map. Vortex and Braking. It's the minimum amount of maps we will be seeing in this match. If Wolves Esports is able to take at least one, then we'll be able to see Control as well. But Wolves Esports, we'll have to see how they're going to respond. If they're coming out strong and unfortunately weakening up, and just as I say that, it looks like Stokine misses that checkpoint. So now Air Kentucky up in front and can start this track off with an ace. But, you know, there's a thing called Caster Curse. I may have just put that one on the two Air Kentucky players. Nicely done through the dirt, going on the outside, try to keeping the grip, and let's see if anyone will bounce. No bounces there. Dummy Cosmos still up in front as we approach the identity of Grip. Really can push this one. You got to be careful. Try to keep at least 2 wheels down. Could probably push somewhere around 200 speed units. Dummy still looking pretty good up there. So is Cosmos, and Freezer will not be able to push that one up. Dummy misses the faster finish. I don't know if we can really call it a risky finish, but it still works out for him either way. And Ace will start this map for Air Kentucky. So, yeah, and just as a reminder, folks, these are the easier, air quote, easier maps in the World Tour series. And if you've played ranked in gold or higher, you definitely know that even though sometimes there's moments in these tracks that look easy, anything can go wrong. So do not discount these players for the amount of work they've been able to put into these tracks. Oh, Dummy ends up clipping his bottom wheel, so he's going to be a little bit low here. May even be fighting the gears now. I'm not really sure what gear he's in, but he's still doing a really good job as Freezer is going to bounce over, and he's going to be out of that fight. Stokine now really has to try to push this identity, getting up to 200 speed units. But so is Cosmos and Dummy, both doing a really good job keeping those 2 wheels down, trying to keep that grip. Oh, Dummy ends up clipping. Stokine has a chance. He can get in there. And even though it's a victory to Air Kentucky, that allows Wolves Esports to get a point on the board. 5-1 now. So, Wolves Esports showing a little bit of life as they were able to get at least 1 point on grip. And I did not see the pick order, but if I remember correctly, This should be an Air Kentucky pick. If anyone was watching while I was explaining stuff earlier, please let me know in the chat. But I believe this is Kentucky. Yeah, I'm getting confirmation. This was an Air Kentucky pick. So when you are picking your map, you would expect to do well. And Cosmos decided to take the scenic route for a second there. Dummy doing a really good job just holding that lead. Stokine now has a chance. Cannot bounce here. Goes a little bit wide to secure not bouncing after Freezer unfortunately had a bounce. He's still within 2 seconds, so it's not the worst. If anyone makes a mistake back here, Dummy can really hold his position. Cosmos has Stokine in eyesight. Stokine really does push that one. Another victory, but in the hands of Air Kentucky, putting them 7-2. Just missing the Brazil, but that's okay. Air Kentucky now at track point, looking to try to take their second point in this series of 7. Dummy, I believe, got a PB. Took him long enough. All right, everyone ends up hitting that checkpoint, and that is a rough checkpoint because you could just go for it and be fine, or try to really stay low and get back on that track and start moving forward. Oh, Dummy again, really pushing and clipping that one. So he's going to be out of this fight. And Cosmos makes a mistake. Stokine, I think, just barely missed the wall. So it's going to allow him to get up in front now. Cosmos is going to have to try to fight his way in to deny the ace that Wolves Esports really do need right now. Put themselves up to 5 and can get in a striking distance. Cosmos, I don't know if he had his ghost on, but Freezer goes flying off. That's going to allow them to really get in there. Freezer still was able to recover fast enough to stop Dummy from getting in there. So victory for Wolves Esports. 8-4, track point still for Air Kentucky. Wolves are going to look for an ace to try to get themselves into track point position. Staying on board with Dummy. Dummy's been having a really good start, but has been pushing so hard after the plastic grip to try to get low, get his wheels down faster. And he has to be careful. Oh, Stokine loses grip on that plastic. Both players go low. Ooh, Freezer also goes low. So now Stokine is pretty much on his own. And we do need to get an update for you folks, because right now, I can't believe I am seeing this with my own eyes. Trolla is currently up 2-0 in the series. Dummy ends up making a mistake. Freezer now has a chance to get in there. But yeah, just so you all can see that Trolla is actually putting a lot of pressure on DG. But that's not Buckley, just so everyone knows. I know that there's a joke about that. Lingo did team with Buckley last time. But Odaz is currently playing with the excuse me. He is playing with the Buckley name. So unfortunately for all you Buckley fans out there that really hope that he can actually make a change this round, this stage, it is not him. Odaz just wanted to play with the names. So Trolla, because they made a team swap from stage 1 to stage 2, they did lose some points. So that's why they are currently 6 points in the World Tour. So they would need to come in first place in this entire thing just to tie 100% Canadians, and that also means really knocking down a lot of other players. So here we go, moving on into our third map, which is Vortex, picked by the blue team, which is Air Kentucky. Vortex with a funny beginning. You cannot turn your wheel. I need to let this little thing, this contraption, to turn your car, and if you make a mistake there, you're pretty much out for the run, because that thing does not change its cycle based on where you are, since it is rounds format. Freezer ends up clipping his wheel a little bit, but allows him to drop quickly. Stokine ends up being the one with the most air, but he's not too far behind. 0.3 as we go into this really, really tricky reactor down in the grass. Got to be careful here, as you can bump in so many different directions, as well as eating a gear. But Air Kentucky up in front, as we expected for their map pick. Stokine and Freezer both sliding out there due to the ice wheels. Stokine just barely survives. Freezer is pretty much going to be out of this one, yeah, but now it's Stokine pushing really hard, able to pass Cosmos. Dummy is going to be the first one into the identity. Got to be careful with these poles. Watch the reaction as it pushes you to the side. Cosmos Does fall far behind, ends up clipping his wheel. Stokine is not going to be able to catch up to Dummy, but that could be a victory for Air Kentucky to start off our third track. Nicely done by Dummy with a 105. Pretty good. Pretty good time. Air Kentucky really showing they want this one, and they're putting a lot of pressure on Wolves Esports. Oh, Cosmos ends up going a little bit early there, really trying to risk that one. Doesn't crash, but unfortunately, exit speed goes down the mud. But Cosmos still able to get a really low jump there and push himself to second. Dummy falls all the way behind Freezer. Just saw as we switched the cameras, took a little bit of air, so falls behind Dummy. Oh, good exit speed by Freezer, though, able to push himself up there. Dummy really just trying to hold the second place. Stokine into the no engine part. Oh, well, where did Freezer go? Did we lose Freezer? All three players able to get that. Freezer is, in fact, in the battle, but he's low and falls down. Dummy up in front. Stokine really trying to fight his way in. Dummy ends up falling behind him. Not really sure what happened there, but he lost a little bit of his speed. So now Stokine keeping an eye on Cosmos, seeing if he makes any mistake. Oh, but Stokine's the one who makes the mistake. Unfortunately, could not get the grip back. It falls down, so that's going to be an ace for Air Kentucky. They are going to be up 5-1. Air Kentucky looking to really just push this one. Do have the chat up there, Dummy, apparently. In the comms, had a really loud cough in his ear and almost messed him up there. Oh, Cosmos pushing hard again. Really, really trying to get off that spinner early. And because of that, ends up clipping the wall, but nicely done with a really low jump. So that's going to put him behind the pack a little bit. Stokine and Freezer doing a good job staying up in front. Dummy gets a better exit speed, ends up eating the gear a little bit there. But with the reactor down, you're still able to keep a lot of your speed going into this one. Dummy does land nicely here. Got to hold that grip, and he does. Into the plastic. We've seen Stokine and Freezer struggling a little bit on that pole, but they have done a good job this round. Stokine goes for the more inside line. Freezer dangerously gets close to that wall. Really want to try to build as much speed as you try to get gear 5. Do I hear it? Yes, I do. Cosmos. Stokine ends up falling down. Cosmos coming out of nowhere. Really trying to push for this ace. Freezer ends up losing that speed. And an ace out of nowhere. Nicely done by Air Kentucky. Track point now. Only need 2 to take the third map. Excuse me. Only downside about solo casting is sometimes the one thing you need to work is not working. There we go. Air Kentucky looking for a victory position. Try to finish this one up. Needing that first and third. Cosmos will push into second place. Stokine able to get that wheel down, but losing a lot of speed there. Freezer is going to be the one to take over. Freezer now sandwiched between the Air Kentucky boys and trying to get out of that one and really get into that second place. Stokine is going to be out of this fight. Really come down to Freezer now. If he can get in first place and only give Air Kentucky 1 point, that does give them another round of hope. Well, the way Dummy and Cosmos have been really getting a lot of exit speed going into this one, especially being able to get gear 5, make this ID really easy for them. Dummy and Cosmos up in front. Freezer can't get there. That's going to be an ace. 11-1 as Air Kentucky will be able to push into the last map, and be on match point. Air Kentucky looking pretty fierce. Happy to see that. Again, as a reminder, Air Kentucky, they do have 10 points right now. They need at least 5 points to reach up to 100% Canadians and push them down. We'll also have to see how everyone else is doing. Into breaking now. picked by Wolves Esports. I personally have been able to train with the Air Kentucky boys and know how much they can push this map. I won't make any spoilers. We'll see if the two of them will be able to play consistently and really push some insane times. Two players go for the really risky beginning, one from each team, so pretty surprised how the outcome is everyone pretty much side by side. Going to the reactor up in the water. All comes down to how well you can pull off this drift. Try to keep your fourth gear going into the dirt line. And everyone's favorite part, the ice part, coming up. You know, really, really precision checkpoint. Gotta be careful here. Dummy looks like he's going a little bit wide. Does not slide out. I think that was Stokine who ends up actually sliding out right at that checkpoint. So he's going to be out of this fight for now. Freezer ends up clipping the inside dirt. Or not clipping, but bumping up and losing some grip now. So Cosmos and Dummy both in position to get an ace to start off breaking. Freezer. Really watch that speed at the bottom. He ends up bringing it down to about 340. Tries to get up there, but again, Dummy Cosmos can pull up some pretty good times for the NCSA region. 101.6 from Dummy. Really nicely done. Definitely can push into a 100. And I do see someone in the chat asking if the cut is allowed. Cuts are not allowed. Even if the map is not updated, you are not allowed to take that cut. If we do spot it, we're gonna come for you. No, we're not gonna allow them to take that win. So yeah, cuts are not allowed. And honestly, I know what cut you're talking about on this map, but it really does not save time. The world record on this map doesn't even use the cut. We don't need that cut. Freezer ends up falling behind the group. Dummy now. Stokine actually had a mistake here. So he's able to hold it off. He is able to get through that one. Cosmos is going to be out of this fight. So now it's really going to be down to Dummy. If Dummy can, in fact, hold up front, not make any mistakes. Engine off. Stokine ends up crashing. He's going to play that one out, but that may allow Cosmos to actually come into this one. Dummy cleanly through the identity. Freezer makes a mistake that could allow Cosmos to actually come up and make an ace. And he does. Just like that, both players makes a big mistake right at the end of the map. That's another ace. It's going to be 6-0. Air Kentucky is 1 point away from setting up a track point. So we're at least guaranteed 2 more rounds of breaking. But Air Kentucky looking pretty fierce, if I do say so myself. And also, if you look at that scoreboard, you see that it is currently 3-0 in the series. And it's looking pretty familiar on the other side. That is right. Trolla is also up 3-0 in the series. But I will say Control is a good map for Damascus Gaming, so we could see them turn that one around. I am generally blown away on how Damascus Gaming is doing. We may see them at the bottom. Again, it doesn't really matter for them. They're probably just playing this one for fun. But we will have to see how this one comes out. Of course, I turned my eyes away for 1 second, and everyone is doing some weird ice skater figure moments in that ice. Both Wolves players struggling with that ice. Just like that. Air Kentucky, again, in a position. Basically just walk this one in. They make the call. Dummy is just going to try to beat Cosmos for glory points. Cosmos makes a mistake. Freezer and Stokine are up front. But then, again, another mistake. Cosmos now in a position to just finish this one. If either of them can just finish it, there's 5 seconds. Freezer can go for the draw at least. He does get in there. 7-1. We got another Brazil. I don't know what the heck is going on. Dummy, get out of the chat and start playing the dang map, would ya? So, track point, match point for Air Kentucky, 7-1. Wolves will have to pretty much, I don't even want to do the math on how many draws and victories they can afford. They just got to get aces at this point. You are so far behind, and you are looking to fall into that bottom bracket so quickly with a 4-0 if you cannot deny Air Kentucky. Stokine up ahead, though. Jumping up ahead to see what's going on. Stokine ends up sliding out. Oh, he somehow able to get through the checkpoint, but so did Freezer make a big mistake. Just as I said that. Yeah, it's not looking good at all for them. Stokine is now the only one who could deny this ace, but it's going to come down to it whether or not Dummy or Cosmos makes a mistake. They do see a +2 on that side. Cosmos knows at least 1 second behind, so he could take his time on that one. And just like that, folks, we got an ace on hand. Air Kentucky is going to knock Wolves Esports down into the lower bracket in this first round. GG's to both of these guys. And just so we can get an also update, Air White actually 4-0s True North. So Air White will also be proceeding up ahead. Nicely done by them. It just, it's insane. Anything can happen. Let's see if I can get this up on the screen for you all so that we're not going to disappear too far. But just so you can see what is going on. Trolla is in the lead in the series 4-5. But not as bad as I was expecting. I was really hoping to see a bit of a closer match between the two of them, but at the end of the day, what can you expect? Damascus Gaming is up by 1 currently. Exotica in a position to try to fight them out. Goes low. Oh, Odaz makes a mistake there. That's going to allow an Exotica to really push himself into that second place. Try to deny an ace from Trolla. Neil completely out of this one. Exotica, he's going to stay low here, but does not matter as Buckley's going to be able to walk that one in, and that's going to be an ace for Trolla. Neil doesn't even go for the finish line. Not 100% sure what's going on with Damascus Gaming. Maybe they're just chilling out, having a good time, just relax, and maybe they'll just knock out some hopes and dreams in the lower bracket. But this is pretty. It's one of those moments where do you think Trolla could actually win this entire tournament, taking out Damascus Gaming, taking the biggest threat out of the bracket? This would be huge, not only for Trolla, but literally for the entire NCSA. So Lingo now up in front, Buckley, or shall I say Odaz, in the third place position. Exotica is the only one that's going to be looking to try to battle this one as Neil makes a big mistake. +5 again on the live ranking. Oh, and Exotica makes a mistake there. Odaz is now able to get a little bit closer than Exotica, able to take that lead. But this identity is a really tough one here on Control. It really comes down to whether or not any of them make a mistake. It's looking pretty good. Oh, Buckley was able to get around. Odaz, that name change is going to screw me over. But that's it. Trolla, they win that one. Trolla is in fact the team that's going to be running away with this one. So, and Yup Team as well. Yup Team was able to also get a 4-0. So we're seeing 4-0s across the board. Not exactly how I thought the first round was going to look. I'm going to be completely honest. 4 zeros across the board for all 4 first matches. So we're going to be moving on momentarily. So folks, don't go too far as we are going to be setting up the next the next round for you, and we'll get that on your stream. So don't go too far, folks. We'll be right back. All right, folks, we are back. Sorry about that. Going a little bit over time as I was having a little bit of a technical difficulty, but we fixed it. And we are now in the pick band phase for both semifinal matches, as you can see on your screen. Decided to give you a little bit of information so you can see both. So we are going to be following the Trolla versus Air White match. That is the left side of your screen. And on the right will be Air Kentucky versus Cosmic Sauce. We're going to have these two matches going on. And again, I will be able to show both games and keep you up to date on what's going on in both of these. So we are in the pick band moments now. And our first match is going to be Pool. Second map will be Grip, and the third map will be Control. And we'll see what Air White will pick. They're going to be picking Vortex. And then we'll see Trolla picking... they pick Sinuous. So now the last pick will be Off-Road, and then the random pick will be Braking. Okay, so no speed, no Frosty. Not surprised about that when it comes to Air White, just because... well, they don't like Frosty. Didn't really get to see what was going on in the other map. I believe it is Pull, Grip, Control, and then I think they picked someone else. Not 100% sure, but no big deal. I'll keep you up to date on that one. So we're going to be moving into our next match momentarily. And again, I am your host, Caster, and all above Randomize. And I'm looking forward to bringing you some amazing content and a lot of fun tournaments as we are... Again, it is the final regional, and points really do matter at this point for players to push towards the final chance and the wild card for those few slots that are available. Only 4 slots are available for NCSA, and currently, Damascus Gaming, Air White, 100% Canadians, and Yep Team are the only 4 that have those slots. But since 100% Canadian is not playing today, it's down to the other teams to knock them out of there and then take that spot. So we're going to be moving into this one here. That's not the game you should be watching. My apologies. This is the game you want to be watching. So we do have Odaz and Lingo in blue and Air White with Charles and Nats on the right. Fun fact for you all, 50% of the participants today are actually Canadian. And then we actually only have 2 players representing the South American side, the Central South American-ish, pushing down into South America with Colombia and Chile, and that would be Charles is Colombian, Nats is the Chile player. So, yeah, otherwise it's all North America at this point. This is the NA with some guests regional. As we go into the first map, which will be Pool. Charles up in front. Nats, unfortunately, making a little bit of mistake in the back. And not too far out of this one. Lingo. Someone you got to keep your eye on. Lingo is one of those players where he can, it's so frustrating to play against him because it's very rare for him to make a mistake. So he will be pushing you to the limit. As you can see, Charles is already up in front, but Lingo has been catching up. Oh, commentator curse comes out as Lingo makes a big mistake. Nats is also pretty far back, so now it's down to Charles to stay up in first and start this match off with a draw, but Nats actually does have a chance to come back. We'll tune in with them in just a second as we see Charles gets in. So now Lingo and Nats finishing up the identity, and Nats does not have the exit speed he was looking for, so a draw to start this one off. Apparently, every time I have someone on the broadcast for you, we have to draw it out for a few times. But we'll have to see how Lingo play. Again, I'm mentioning Lingo because of this player is just insanely good at just consistency. It was a little rare moment of him to make a mistake. Charles as well. The 2 of them are going to be the ones going to be pushing for their team. Odaz and Nats will be battling this one out in the back. Oh, Charles ends up hitting the lightsabers and goes flying away. He's out of this fight for good. It is so hard to recover after that one. Ain't no way. That's not something you want to see. Now, Nats has to really push this one. Again, exactly how he's expected. Lingo's going to be way up ahead. Nats goes into the water here. Looking like he's about maybe 0.6 still behind. 0.9. Odaz is able to pass him. Lingo made a mistake. Not really sure what happened, but that's going to allow Trolla to now walk away with this one 4-1 with that ace. That is unfortunate to see. Charles really trying to push that outside line. Smacks into the lights that are sticking out. And trust me, mappers aren't putting that there to be trolls. They are literally putting that there to tell you that it is not a good way to go. So Charles now is going to be up in front again. A little bit tricky here as you want to keep your grip. Oh, Charles landing bug? Not 100% sure what happened there. He looks fine and then smacked the front of his car, so he's going to be completely out of this one. Nats also pretty far behind, 1.5 seconds behind. Nicely there. Lingo makes a mistake. Charles now has a chance. Odaz will be up in front, really pushing to try to keep that lead. Nats also has to be fighting his way in. Lingo is right behind. You can feel him breathing down his neck. Lingo again with a good outside speed. Goes low into this one, allowing him to go wide. Nats ends up making a mistake. I believe he lost grip there. Charles trying to get up in front, but Odaz does a good job to clean that one up. Lingo will be in third, and Nats in fourth, so it's a victory for Trolla. 6-2.
Victory.
Good on Odaz. Even though Lingo made the mistake, Odaz is able to hold that lead. Of course, I don't want to count Odaz out on the Trolla team. Also an amazing player playing here in the Tmwt Regionals for NCSA. Last one, folks. Big deal for a lot of these players. Trolla will have to win the entire regional. And honestly, they are a team that could do that. Air White, really just looking for, I would say, at least top two to secure their spot to be completely safe. And all the players now up in the pack here as we go into the grass part and start getting closer to the identity. Playing that one low, Odaz looking to try to get past Nats, goes for the inside line, goes past two of them. As I think Nats and Charles end up both sliding out in the pool part of poolside. Or no, this is pool, excuse me. Blast from the past, folks. I just called out a wrong TMWT map, or TMGL at the time. But yeah, no, it's sliding out of that pool. It is very difficult. You need to be very far on the outside of the reactor down to keep that grip going in and really push that line. You can slide out, and because at that point, if even one wheel lifts off the ground, you are just going to be floating for even milliseconds, and you cannot risk that. Lingo, speaking of floating, loses complete grip on the outside bend, and bonks out and has to reset. So already 4 seconds behind. And Odaz makes a huge mistake. That's what we saw Charles do earlier. I think I counted 540. Nice Tony Hawk play right there. Get him some points. But Charles and Nats up in front, and Odaz is the only person in position to maybe capitalize on a mistake. But Nats and Charles definitely looking over at the live rankings, can see the time and know not to push this identity too hard. And an ace. This is exactly what Air White needs to do to stay alive in this first track. So it will be 9-5. Air White's still not in. They're not in that area to get a track point yet, but it's not the worst thing in the world for them. They can pull this one off. That beginning, even the beginning itself, this whole map is all about really risking and pushing those really tight corners. And all four players are now in this battle. No mistakes so far. And going Odaz doing a good job, really holding that beginning. Nats goes for that inside line. Oh, but Nats ends up clipping his wheel. Charles ends up hitting the wall. Unless we see some big mistakes up front, it is pretty much a clear win for Trolla to take the first track. So we may see this one walk out. Ooh, Odaz makes a little bit of mistake. But even then, you still need to get up in front. So, yeah, Charles right there. You can see it. He pretty much gives that one out. Let's check out what's going on in the other one right now. Air Kentucky versus Yep Team in their first game on the other semifinals. And they are currently, Air Kentucky's up 8-6. And with that one, They also, I'm going to mute that one, folks. That was definitely a little annoying. But we see a victory as well as Air Kentucky will be able to get their first track point. Moving on into our next map, which will be Grip. If I remember correctly, it is the order where the blue team gets the first pick. So that means Air White has picked Grip. Let's check out what the other map is actually going to be for them. It's going to be Frosty between Air Kentucky and Yep Team. So after a little bit, we will check in with them. So don't worry, we'll check them out in a little bit. But yeah, just as a reminder, there are only 8 teams in this one, so it is a double elimination bracket, best of 7s all the way through. We're only going to be having 3 of the matches today, all on the winner side, and then tomorrow we'll be going through the gauntlet, that is the loser side of the bracket, or lower side if you don't like to call them a loser, but they are. Anywho. And then we will be seeing the gauntlet tomorrow and the grand finals for the last regional of this season. That's was a little low there, and unfortunately he's out of this race. So Charles now only one who can deny an ace, and just like that scratches the side of his car on the wall. The beautiful ink goes marked on the side, and now Trolla are going to be walking their way through this one. They don't have to push this one. This is one of the hardest identities, in my opinion, to really get a good push. So Trolla are going to be taking the first 3 points of this map. An ace. Air White. Looking a little shaky on this map, but it's only the first round. Anything can happen, especially on Grip. We did see it in the last match. We did have a few players fly off on the identity. Ooh, did Charles get that? No, he did not. He's going to have to respawn. So it's all up to Nats now up in front to deny Trolla from getting an ace. That's doing a good job going for that low approach. Odaz as well. Ringo goes a little bit higher. Nats ends up crashing or tagging the side of the wall or something. Not 100% sure. So that puts Nats behind 0.3 on the live ranking. It's probably going to end up be closer to maybe 1 second. 0.4. Okay, never mind. He got through that nicely. Into the identity now. The intensity is growing. Gotta hold your breath on this one. You really do want to try to push that at 200. You can probably even get to a 202 in the speed, but it is difficult to pull that off cleanly and not fall off. So another ace going in the hands of Trolla. 6-0 now. Air White starting to really fall behind. Luckily, with the point system and how it works for anyone that is tuning in for the first time for Tmwt, point system is relatively simple. Both your players are up in front, you get 3 points, and the other team is denied any points. If you are first and third, you get a victory, which is 2 points for you and 1 for the other team. And if your team is first and fourth or second and third, you get 1 point each and get what we call a draw. And it's the first to 10 points. So, Trolla now again in another ace position. Nats really will have to push this identity, but we've seen both Lingo and Odaz pull this one off nicely. Charles is actually up in this fight as well. See how they are going through the penalty grass. Charles really pushing that one, but Odaz had a really clean identity as well. Another ace in the pocket of Trolla. And you only need a draw at this point. Air White will have to pull off 3 aces in a row and bring us into overtime. Just like that, Charles ends up tagging the wall. I don't even think he hit the checkpoint. Not looking good at all for him. And this could be a potential quick. Yeah, this one's definitely going to be a quick one. Odaz and Lingo do not have to make a mistake. Once they see Nats go through that checkpoint, over a second behind, they know for sure that they should be fine. But who knows? It's Lingo. He may just push for a world record right here, right now. So in the meantime, let's check out what's going on the other side, as we do know, in fact, that these players are out. So as you can see on the board, it's 5-2 for Air Kentucky on Frosty. Not bad for them. Not bad at all. Charles is going to take his sweet time through this one. Air Kentucky, again, really coming out strong in this one up against Yep Team. BMQS and Simon, the other Canadians that are involved in this match, up against Americans. That is a true North American battle right there. It is USA versus Canada. And we have Kentucky representing USA. So pretty fierce duo to represent USA for us. And we're not going to be seeing Frosty in this match that we're currently following, which is Trolla and Air White. But Frosty is definitely one of my favorite maps. So I'm a little unfortunate about that one. We are now on Control as our third map in this match. Now, this one, I would say, is a specialty for Lingo and Charles. We're probably going to see the two of them dueling it out in the front. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Oh, we're talking about ranks in chat? I'm a master myself. I think a master 1. Just barely making it. I don't play enough rank. Oh! That was Nats who did end up clipping. So exactly the two players I called. Lingo and Charles are going to be dueling up front. Odaz right behind. Any mistakes that happen from Charles, Odaz will be there to capitalize. And if Lingo makes a mistake, Odaz will probably have to push really hard to help out. The fun part about Control, and the reason why it got its name, is because it's all about really controlling your car in the air and watching for how much speed you put yourself in the air. Oh, Odaz ends up making a clip. So here we go. The 1v1 I expected. Lingo up in front. Charles not too far behind. 0.3 behind. Maybe goes for low. Lingo goes low. And that's going to be a really, really good identity for Lingo. Lingo with a 58.6. Get out of here. Nice time by Lingo. And Charles only 0.5 behind, so that looks like a 59.1. Are you kidding me? This is some pretty good times to do during rounds when there's a lot of pressure going on. So victory. Air White shows some breathing life starting off in this third track that is Control. For anyone's tuning in, especially after that second map, it was heartbreaking. We were on grip, and Trolla basically walked away with 4 aces in a row. Mentally, that has to be tolling, excuse me, on Air White. Because that it's not nice to see your team just completely get demolished. But a good bounce back from Air White to just get themselves right on the board right away. Nats tried to go for that inside line, and Odaz was able to play that one nicely. On the outside line, Lingo makes a huge mistake going into that jump, so Charles is now up in front. Odaz is going to have to push hard. Charles ends up clipping the wall at the moment he had the chance to really get themselves some good points, but Nats is going to be coming in to help out Charles. Odaz is going to probably look to go low. Oh, Nats ends up trying to go for the low play. And the good exit from them, Nats will make too many mistakes. And just like that, Air White had a moment to get a victory, and handed the victory back to Trolla. Gonna be walking out of this one 4-2 now. That is crushing so many moments. Ain't no way in the chat if you can do it. But now, Air White still showing a little bit of life. Not the worst thing in the world. Really going to come down to just not making mistakes. As I just said that, I believe that was Odaz that ends up clipping off the scenery. That's going to pretty much put him out in a really bad position. That's really pushing that one. Ooh, Charles ends up clipping his wheel. Still in the battle, but Lingo and Nats now are going to be the two that are going to be battling it up front. They go for the high approach or the low approach. Lingo does a nice job going for the low approach. It's going to give him a lot more exit speed. But Nats goes high. Lingo with beautiful speed into this one. Charles is going to be catching up as well. Could not get the grip. Still having a little bit of icy wheels. So Nats now 0.07 behind, 1-3 now. Trying to go for that low play again. It's really seeing how much risk you want to put into this one. After the mistakes that happened last round, I don't blame Nats for going up high. You want to try to deny as many points until you get a good round going. And that's going to be a draw, 5-3 now. Air White only down by 2 as we're going to be moving on into the 4th round. That was a good idea by Odaz right there, too. And that's more of the ideal way you want to do it. You want to try to really go as low as you can, get a clean landing, and right into the finish line. So, maybe in the 4th round, someone will be able to pull that one off. Trolla just holding that lead nicely, though, in the series as well in this current match. Charles is now going to be pushing up front against Lingo. Nats and Odaz battling it up. Ooh, Nats goes wide. Still bit of grip down, but because of that, that's going to push him pretty far behind the pack. Into the mini identity of control again. Charles is going to get the best exit speed. Odaz is going to go for the inside line. Could be dangerous if he goes too low. Goes up high here as he's going to be able to grip a little bit nicer, but he did not turn his car in time. Because of that, Charles is going to be running away up in front. Lingo 0.58 behind. At this point, it just needs to be a clean run from Charles. Nats still in this fight as well. Charles goes low. Lingo goes high. Nats ends up going high. Oh, could not recover from that one. And just like that, another draw. Trolla up 6-4. No one in track point yet. So, if Air White can at least look to try and get an ace here, they will get themselves a track point first, getting them a 7-6 on the points. But Trolla, at least a draw or a victory, allowing Air White to get some points or not, will put them in track point and potentially see one less round than Air White probably would like. Ooh, Nats goes a little bit wide there. Did avoid the wall, actually. Odaz and Lingo doing a good job. Charles as well with a good exit speed coming out into this dirt line here. Got to be careful. You don't want to turn too hard or else you can lose your 4th gear as you're trying to actually gain to the 5th gear. Good control by everyone. No pun intended. Charles goes really high. It's actually exactly the line you want, but you got to recover from that one. Nats as well, struggling a little bit. And it looks like Odaz ends up making a big mistake there, but Nats also makes a mistake. So now Lingo and Charles are going to be battling up in the front while Odaz and Nats are going to be traveling in the back. Let's see who gets this identity first. Charles and Lingo, both nicely done. They're going to be able to recover from that one. And it looks like Odaz ends up making a mistake somewhere as we weren't able to get that on the screen. And that's what Air White is looking for. They needed that victory. So they're still not in track point yet, as Trolla has a 7 points. Just need an ace to close this one out. Air White will have to at least draw to try to get into that track point. Oh, we saw a mistake there. Charles, I think, ends up bumping the wall there. So now Nats is going to be the one up in front, up against Lingo. Odaz, again, in a position to capitalize on any mistakes that can happen from the Air White. Really like to see this. Lingo always tends to be the person who's going to push a lot harder than Odaz, as Odaz seems to be playing more for the consistency role. So if any mistakes were to happen, he knows he's in a good position to go for pushes. Oh, just like that, as I said. Man, commentator Kurtz is strong with this one today, huh? I'm doing a really good job just reading the script and saying, yeah, screw it. Let's get someone to bump out. Ooh, Nats. There's a little bit of grip. Lingo also makes a mistake. Nats could actually be in a good position to get themselves into that one. I'm going to skip back in here. Lingo ends up going inside and grabbing that one. I'm sorry for pulling away from that one. I really thought Nats was going to get that one. So we're going to draw everyone now in track point, 8-7. Trolla needs at least a minimum of a victory to close this one out. Air White needs at least an ace. If Air White can pull their own victory, we will tie this one up and go into overtime. Oh, just like that. Odaz makes a mistake. Charles makes a mistake. Odaz's mistake was much worse. So he's going to be completely out of this round. Nats is up in front, up against Lingo. We could be looking at potentially another draw. Nats having a little bit of problems on this map. Last round was a good round for him. Hopefully he'll be able to bounce back. Lingo, again, just plays really well, able to push every time. But he has to be careful as he did make a big mistake as we're going into this jump right here. This is the hardest part of the map where you can gain or lose a lot of time. And both Lingo and Nats did a really good job. Charles to fall behind. Lingo again way up in front. Time to line up for the identity here in control. Trying to go for that low line. Nats goes a little bit too high. That's probably what happened last round as well. So another draw, 9-8. It will not be the final round, potentially. If there is a 9-7 on the scoreboard, no matter what happens, it would be the final round. But because we have a 9-8, we could potentially see an overtime, as Airwhite will have to, in fact, get a victory. And on their side, so they need at least one player in first place. And then that second player will be the most important one. They will dictate whether or not we'll see an overtime. Now, of course, Airwhite can also go for an ace, while Trolla just needs to go for a draw and be able to take this one and take a 3-0 lead. But as we say that, all 4 players still in the battle here. Lingo and Charles will be the ones up front again. Nats falls a little bit behind. He needs at least minimum 3rd place. The only way he can be in 4th place is if Charles gets that first one. But again, up against Lingo as we go into this ice wall jump. Nicely done as all 4 players get up high, but Nats and Odaz have a little bit of shaky play there. Lingo ends up falling behind. Charles doing a good job, really pushing that one, but Nats now needs to be in 3rd place. Charles has to hold that 1st place as they go into the identity. Nats will have to play this one low. He makes a mistake, and just like that, Lingo and Odaz will get in there. It will be 3-0 in the series now for Trolla, as they are looking to knock Airwipe. And Trolla is just looking to knock everyone, all the top contenders, out of here. That is something I was not expecting to see. But let's tune in, check out this other match that's happening right now. Air Kentucky up 9-7. They are on their final round of Vortex. No matter what, there's no way to draw. So good start by looks like Air Kentucky. 2-0. Air Kentucky could be looking to go up against Trolla, but it still requires both teams to finish out their next map, which right now we see Vortex for Trolla versus Airwhite. They are just going to be finishing up that warm-up, so let's get them back in focus, and I will let you know what's going on in that other match and see whether or not that will be the last round. Actually, that is going to be potentially their last round, as Dummy and Cosmos are in a draw position against BMQS. So, yes, they will be able to win that one. They were able to draw that, and Air Kentucky will be also 3-0 now, going into their potentially final match. Or, excuse me, final map of the match. But here with Trolla and Airwhite, Trolla is on match point. They are looking to try and close this one out. And with both of them up in front, Airwhite are playing on their last breath, their last life. If you play Legend of Zelda, you would know what I mean by hearing the beeping in your head. Odaz ends up making a huge mistake, though. Charles is going to be able to get up. +2 behind the crowd. +2-6, I should say. Nats falling a little bit behind. Excuse me, behind. Lingo looking to get through this one nice and cleanly. He does. Nats will also get through this one cleanly. It's all about just finishing that one up. Charles not too far behind, but Odaz, because of the big critical mistake he made earlier, it's going to be a draw to start this one out.
Draw.
And, of course, I will also try to update you guys as the losers bracket is going through. And just as a reminder, Wolves Esports versus Cosmic Sauce down in the losers bracket. Damascus actually surprisingly falling in the losers bracket for the first time ever. And they'll be versing True North. Hate to be True North falling down there, but who knows? Maybe they're just going to sit back and let someone else walk up. But we'll find out sooner or later as I get those updates for you. Odaz starting off a little bit shaky here in the second round. Charles and Nats sandwiching Lingo, but Nats ends up making a mistake and allowing Odaz to push up. And Charles also looking like he's falling a little bit behind, as Lingo will be able to do a really nice job in the bobsled with no engine. Nicely and cleanly done by all the players. I believe Nats as well is still in this fight. Not too far behind. Anything can happen in the identity. Of course, this is probably one of the easier identities, but it only is easy with the high speed. As I say that, Odaz decides to deny what I have to say and flies right off. Lingo will still be up in front, though, and Charles and Nats will follow through. 1 minute 5 seconds, not bad at all on this kind of map here on Vortex. So we'll draw again 2-2. And there is an emote for y'all if you have 7TV, and that is called a Trolla emote, 17 to 20. That did happen one time. Terrifying. I have the power, folks. I have that commentator curse. There's no such thing as commentator cure. So they gotta be careful. If I don't know. Turn the stream off if you're playing. Don't listen to me. If you hear me say your name, you might just jump. Who knows? Yeah, that was fun. That definitely was fun. But here we go. Ooh, Lingo flipping the bottom wheel, but able to get that reactor down and still keep some of that speed. Charles will be up in front. And Nats will be battling Lingo. Odaz not too far behind. Nats ends up flying there. He's going to lose his speed. Lingo! We're not playing Tony Hawk, my guy. You don't need to do a backflip or anything like that. Lingo's going to be out of this one now. 3-4 seconds. There we go. Odaz ends up making a huge mistake as well. Nats just needs to follow through with Charles through the identity. Again, the higher speed you have, the easier this identity becomes. So an ace will be for Air White. Air White finally in the lead. They just need to hold this lead out now. Victories and draws is all they have to see as they can walk this one through and potentially get themselves on the board when it comes to the series. 3-0, man. This is not what you would expect to see out of Air White. And that's pushing a little bit too hard there. Clips both walls, but luckily not too bad as he's still in third place into the big half pipe. Oh, and we did seem to lose Nats in that half pipe. And just to update you, True North is officially eliminated from the last regional of NCSA as Damascus was able to get a 4-0 on them. They'll be moving forward into the losers bracket. Charles still up in front. Odaz makes a big mistake. So now it's going to be a 1v1 up in front. Charles with a big lead, 0.8 ahead. Ooh, a little bit rocky into that pipe, but still holding a good lead. Lingo really trying to recover as he's probably playing a little bit slower than he normally does in this part. Charles into the identity. Lingo following behind. Nicely done by Charles. Cleanly done. At this point, a bit of a full-speed grass. Odaz now will have no pressure going through this one. Oh, wait! Commentator curse again happens. Nets comes out of nowhere and be able to beat him by 0.3. Oh, no, not 0.3. Wow, my math is completely off. I was only looking at the decimal. I was not looking up ahead. Nats comes out of nowhere, gets a victory. 7-3 now. Air White in a track point position and can now look to finally getting on the series board. And just so we can get a little bit of an update going on the other side, Air Kentucky is actually on track point now, match point as well, 8-1, as Cosmos is going to fall behind, so it's going to be between BMQS and Dummy. And if Dummy gets that first place, Cosmos just needs to finish. Simon was not able to pull off the map properly. Not sure exactly what happened. They'll fall behind. I'll keep that up on your screen for a little bit more just so you can see who will win that one. But on our screens, the main cast right now, Charles and Nats up in front, looking to actually get an ace as Lingo is going to be trying to fight his way into this one. And as we see it, Air Kentucky will win and will continuously moving on into the upper bracket final. They are going to be the first team to be walking into that one. And as I say that, we do see our first map win by Air White. They were finally able to get themselves on that board. 3-1 now in the series. Air White looking to set themselves up for a reverse sweep. That is not easy. Not easy to see. That's a hard feat to go through. Sinuous is the next map. This could be a good match for Air White, as there is a bit of a mix of full speed and NASCAR in this one. But you can opt to not do it as a NASCAR and use it as a weird speed tech-ish, whatever you want to call it. And just to update you all, as well, as I told you, Damascus Gaming was able to move on, knock out True North. Wolves Esports is actually up right now, 3-0 in the series, but down in their map, as we can pull this one up on the screen for you so you can see what is going on the other side as well. Wolves Esports actually looking pretty strong on that end. So now we may have to see what will happen, but on our screens right off the bat, as I said that this could be a good map for Air White, the person I expected to do well on this one is currently sitting only back and forth. That is Charles, who opts to go for the drift here. That's in a position to fight this one out. Not too far behind any of them. Oh, Nats goes a little bit wide on that ice, and that's not looking comfortable at all. Still able to pull that one off nicely, and Charles will be back into the fight. But Lingo and Odaz way too far ahead, as Charles and Nats both over a second behind. But if Odaz clips, Charles and Nats may be able to walk this one in. They don't. So an ace on hand for Trolla. And Cosmic Sauce on track point, so good for them. We'll tune into them in a little bit just to see what's going on and see if they will also be able to set themselves up into a reverse sweep. But Cosmic Sauce, they got a long way to go. Just as a reminder that it is Odaz and not Buckley, as people got a little confused in that first match. Lingo and Odaz rocking in the Trolla side. So now Charles is up in front, really trying to fight this one out with the other two. One a little bit wide there. Lingo falling a little bit behind. Into the ice turn and to the final full speed part. Charles really trying to get as much SD and squeeze out as much speed as he can. He has a little bit more speed than Lingo, but Lingo is able to pull. Wait! They died! But because of checkpoints, Lingo had a bit of a better checkpoint than Charles did, and that allowed, even though they both got .395, Lingo was able to squeeze that one out and give another ace to Trolla. This is not looking good for Air White. They are down 6 points. They're not even on the board yet. They were able to finally respond in the match in general, being down 3-1. But, oh, man, that has to hurt. That has to hurt your morale. That would hurt mine. I definitely know that would hurt mine. But Charles doesn't seem to be affected, as he's already pushing up with Nats. I'm going to hold hands as they are able to pass both players on the Trolla side. So now Lingo is going to be fighting the way into between these two. If Lingo can get at least second place. Oh, but Lingo makes a mistake. Nats and Charles are going to walk this one in. And finally, Air White is on the board, 6-3 with another ace. And, whoa, hold on a second. I looked away for a little bit, and let's get this matchup on board for you. Wolves Esports was down, and they are now on track point against Cosmic Sauce. A draw could potentially happen, but that is not something I expected to see, as both players do make a mistake now. And Freezer's going to be the only one who's going to try to deny an ace at a Cosmic Sauce. Wow. We got some really good matches going on. I'll keep that one up there for you to keep an eye on if any of y'all are Wolves Esports or Cosmic Sauce fans. On to the main channel, or the main game. Trolla still in the lead, though, by 3. Charles goes really inside, which makes a wide line, but can sometimes help you out here, as you don't need to drift as much. So Charles is just sandwiched between Odaz and Lingo. Nats is trying to join him and get up there as much as he can. Charles makes a mistake. And looking like an ace unless either Lingo or Odaz makes a mistake. Into the wall ride. And up the plastic. Ooh, Odaz clips a little bit, but able to jump right into it. That's an ace and a track point, match point for Trolla. Anything but a victory for Air White. Or, excuse me, anything but an ace from Air White will allow Trolla to get the win. Cosmic Sauce does win their match, or their map as well. So now they will also be 3-1 in the series. We'll tune in back to them in just a little bit. Oh, Nats makes a big mistake. And that's it, folks. Unless Lingo and Odaz makes a huge mistake, there is nothing we can do. Yeah, you see both of them are just a crushing defeat at the end. But they still can fight through the losers bracket. It's not the end of the world. They can still make their way back in. So Odaz and Charles are going to be walking their way in. Since that happened, I'll bring back the other game. They are going to be playing Wolves Esports and Cosmic Sauce are going to be on Control as their next one. GG to both of them. And that's going to be it. That's all they wrote for the two of them. Trolla will move on in the winners bracket final, and they will be taking on Air Kentucky in the upper bracket final. Kentucky actually in a position, they're in the top 4. They're in a position to go for top 2. That's huge. That's definitely something you would love to see. So we'll just have to wait and see what's going on. But let's get the other map on screen for y'all. And that will be Wolves Esports and Cosmic Sauce again. Just like that, looks like it's going to start off as an ace. As both, oh, wait. I did not see Stokine up there. And a big mistake by Corn the short way. And Wolves Esport is going to start with a victory. Nicely done. So this match currently is in the loser bracket side. This is the loser bracket round 1. These players are playing for their lives to try to stay in this final regional. Again, as I said, Damascus was able to 4-0 True North. So GG's to True North. They are taken out. So they are going to be versing Yep Team. Damascus Gaming, excuse me. Damascus Gaming will be taking on Yep Team in the loser bracket finals. That'll be happening the next round. Wolves Esports and Cosmic Sauce are the last two to play. Whoever wins this one will end up versing Air White. My fault, J-Dogs. My fault. It was a true battle for True North. But as we are moving on into this one here. Oh, a big mistake by Corn. Freezer's going to be able to walk this one in. Stokine also almost made a mistake. So that is going to be another ace for Wolves Esports. They are looking to try to close this one out. An ace 5-1. Wolves Esports just need to finish this one and move on. We've been seeing a lot of 4-0s on the bracket, but only the 2 matches we've had on stream. At least the bottom team, the team that's currently trying to survive, was able to take 1 match off. 1 map, excuse me. So Freezer falls behind, but not too far out of the fight. Or in the short way makes a mistake, falling behind. Legion trying to stay alive. Not too far behind Stokine. Oh, Legion making a big mistake and falls behind there. So now he's going to try to fight his way back in. Stokine doing a good job holding that lead. Freezer just needs to get the identity correctly. Probably want to try to still go a little bit low, not risk too much, but risk a little bit. Oh, Freezer. Wait, Stokine, I didn't see him up front, made a huge mistake. So now it's going to be a draw. 6-2. Wolves Esports is still not even in a position to close out this track. That is not something you wanted to see. But they're trying to hold on. Still in a good lead. 4 points up. Stokine has been playing really well. Even though making a little bit of mistakes here and there. Don't want to make those mistakes at the end. Really want to try to push your way to finish this one out. Freezer ends up falling way behind. I shouldn't say way behind, but he did fall behind from the position he was in. Going the short way. He makes a weird bounce. So that's going to allow Freezer to get up into 3rd place. Potential victory, but not the landing you want on that ice. He's going to make a mistake, and Corn the short way is able to get there. But we got to jump up in front because Legion is able to get past Stokine. Stokine really pushing that speed. Legion's going to go for the wide line. Stokine's going to try to go inside. Stay low there. Oh, Legion ends up making a mistake. Stokine just needs to walk that one in. He does. And Freezer will able to get in there. That is another victory for Wolves Esports. Track point, match point for Wolves Esports. They only need a victory minimum to close this one out. Cosmic Sauce probably going to be looking for a bunch of aces if they can. Good start by all the players. Into this rough dirt line and then into a hard tech turn, as you can touch any of these walls. And then the first mini identity. Freezer goes a little bit high, but Corn the short way goes wide. Freezer couldn't get a smooth landing, takes some air there as well, and he's going to fall really far behind while we have Legion and Stokine fighting it up in front. Saw a little bit of mistakes going into the mini identity of this ice wall, but Stokine doing a good landing. Can he finish it up? He can. Nicely done. Legion tries to really push that one and sliding out, and that's going to allow Stokine to even take more of a lead. Looking at, 0.7 behind now. Corn is also a second behind. Stokine just needs to get a clean identity, makes a mistake. Legion goes extremely high, and that's going to let him walk in. Freezer also goes in, and that's it. That's an ace to close this one out. That's going to be 11-3. Wolves Esports will continue pushing through the lower bracket. Nice job by them as well. So that's going to be it for them, as we are now going to be moving on into our final match of the day, which will be the upper bracket final, Air Kentucky versus Trolla. So folks, don't go too far. We'll be back with that in just a moment. All right, on your screen now, welcome back, everybody. We have our grand final, or sorry, our upper finalist on the left, and we have one of our loser bracket quarterfinals on the right. So Air, Kentucky, and Trolla are going to be playing for the grand finals. Yep, Team and Damascus on the right side are going to be playing for the loser bracket semifinal that will be played tomorrow. Same time, same place, of course, at 4 p.m. Eastern. Here on the screen. I don't remember other times. I'm really bad at that. I apologize. If someone wants to fill that in the chat to let the crowd know, I'd appreciate that. But this game is going to be one of the biggest games on the screen. I am not lying to you right now. Right now, Air Kentucky and Trolla are both battling for their position to get in the top 4 to move towards the final chance and the wild card. Yes, you heard me right. This match itself could solidify them into the last chance and the wild card slots of NCSA. That, I don't know, man. Like, I hope neither of them were listening, because that could put a lot of pressure on both teams. Essentially, what's even more insane is that SRK and I were doing a little bit of math. If Air Kentucky loses this and then loses in the loser semi, it can come down to matchmaking, which even matchmaking-wise, they could tie. And if they tie in matchmaking points, because you're only given a certain amount of points depending on what position you are in the top 128 overall matchmaking across the world. If they tie, then this match becomes the tiebreaker. This would be the head-to-head tiebreaker, which then, if Trolla won or wins, Air Kentucky loses their potential chance of getting into that wild card slot. So, a lot of pressure for Air Kentucky and Trolla for both of these. They need to... So, basically... But, of course, even if Air Kentucky loses to Trolla and moves in through the loser side, and they're able to win the loser final and go back into the grand final, then Air Kentucky have locked their position in. So, it's really going to come down to how this game goes. So, let's get this one on the board. Again, I have the wrong one on your screen. My apologies. Air Kentucky in the blue, Trolla in the red. And our first map will, in fact, be Airwalk. So here we go. Race has officially started. This is only the upper finals, the winner's final. But it's going to feel like a grand finals for these two. As we start off our first round of the match. Dummy goes for that really inside line. Odaz up with Dummy. Lingo having a little bit of a mistake off the springs. Cosmos now falling back into 4th place. Dummy up in front. Currently starting off with a draw position. Odaz overtakes Dummy. Lingo still holding that 3rd position, trying to knock Cosmos out of this fight. And setting up into the ID now. Getting that 5th gear. Trying to get enough speed with more speed. Dummy! Dummy! Lagging around, unfortunately, and clips before he can even get to the final. Oh, no. I really hope Dummy's not having internet problems, as he does, in fact, tend to have those problems. I don't know if we can call that commentator curse or internet curse, folks. But Trolla will actually start this one. This is the first match we have on stream where we will start with an ace. It is not going to be starting with a draw like every other match has been on the stream. So a good start for Trolla. And hopefully Dummy's internet holds on. Going into the second round now. Dummy again up in the front. For a guy that doesn't like these maps, he tends to do really well on them. So now we swap roles with Lingo and Odaz. Odaz was the one that was up front fighting. Oh, Dummy ends up clipping a little bit. Lingo is now up in front. Cosmos has to go for the inside line. Odaz is going to be following now in 3rd. Cosmos goes for the wider turn on the break, but that allows him to have more exit speed from that turn. Cosmos and Lingo now side by side as they're going into the plastic part. Set up for the drift and into the identity we go. Cosmos is a little bit of a lead. See if he goes for the lower line. Cosmos goes for the more inside line. Unfortunately, there was a mistake that happened from Odas. We couldn't see it. But 0.0099 thousandths of a second, Cosmos loses the lead by Lingo. And Odas will not finish this one up. But doesn't matter. Draw either way. Man, that one hurts. Oh, that one hurts. 9 thousandths of a second. Good round. Definitely happening in the chat. Air Kentucky still in an ace distance from Trolla. Seems Lingo or Ordaz, the two of them, always one of them has a weird problem with this jump, but it looks like it works out for both of them. Cosmos and Dummy have good exit speed, but Cosmos ends up almost clipping, taking airtime. Might have been a little shooken up from that last round. Hate to see it, but he's still not out of this battle. Lingo and Dummy battling up in front. Cosmos opts to go for the wider line here that allows him to not really have to turn too much as they lose a little bit of that grip, build more speed to get around that bend easier. Odaz will fall behind into 4th place. Lingo with a pretty nice lead, 0.3 ahead of Dummy, 0.4 ahead of Cosmos. As we go into the identity, we know Lingo can take this one low, as we saw in that last round going into this jump here. Wait, Lingo is gone. Where did he go? Lingo made a mistake. Another caster curse has come in, and we have an ace. We're all tied up again. It took a little bit for the two to draw this one out, but hey, you know what? We're back in the tradition of just constantly drawing left and right on this broadcast here. Works out anyway. For anyone tuning in, we are in the winners finals with Air Kentucky and Trolla. This match means a lot as whoever wins this one secures their position going into the NCSA slot of the wild card and final chance. So this is a very, very important match for both teams here, excuse me. As currently 100% Canadians who has not played this stage at all. He's still sitting in that top 4, looking to take one of the slots. Odaz made a big mistake at the beginning. Lingo ends up clipping the wall there. So now, Cosmos and Dummy need to just get a clean identity. They don't have that much room, though. Lingo's only 0.4 behind, and we have seen what he has pulled off here into the identity. Goes a little bit farther out. Dummy and Cosmos is able to get in. Woo! Lingo is starting to catch up to Cosmos there. But an ace for Air Kentucky and now on track point. As we move on. Like I saw in the chat, Caster Curse is not a thing. It's just bad predicting the future. You know what? Let me just get my ball out here, and I'm gonna look at the future. And I'm going to look ahead so you all can get spoiler alerts. Nah, man, I like Caster Curse. They're more fun. It gets the game exciting. Trolla up in front, though, in an ace position right now to draw this one up again. Or tie this one up, I should say. Sorry, I've been hearing draw in my head for so long. So it's the first one there that will come out of my mouth. Lingo with a pretty nice lead. Dummy, though, he is going to be trying to fight his way in and at least deny the ace, go for a victory, and take a point away. And go up there, looking a little close. He's able to pull that one off. Dummy will get in there and able to deny that one. And Odaz ends up making a mistake either way, so not even denying a victory, but going for a draw. A word we've heard plenty of times today. 8-5 now. Air Kentucky looking for at least a victory to walk this one in and get their first map point. Just so that we can update you, because there is another match that is very, very tight right now. Yep Team and Damascus Gaming currently 5-5 in the first map, which is breaking. Not one of Damascus Gaming's strongest maps for sure, but pretty close start for Yep Team. Surprised to even see Damascus Gaming down in the lower bracket. Well, we'll see what happens out of them. Dummy up in front. Cosmos is going to be able to overtake Lingo. Lingo did clip the wall a little bit. Odad's still in 3rd place, trying to fight his way up here. Cosmos starting to fall a little bit behind. Not a lot of exit speed. Odaz is now up in front. Cosmos and Dummy They just need a victory anyway. Odaz ends up crashing. Doesn't matter. And that's going to be an ace. Air Kentucky will, in fact, take their first... their first match. Or map. Oh. Sorry, folks. Soul casting can be a little tough sometimes. But Odaz will sit that one out. And Air Kentucky looking pretty good, as they had a little bit of a rough beginning, but still able to capitalize on the win, giving them their first point in the series. Again, best of 7 all the way through. And we'll be moving on to our second map, which will be Pool. And this one was, in fact, chose by Trolla. Now, knowing the players pretty well, this map honestly may look like a shutout. I don't know how much work Dummy has put into this map. I think Cosmos has put some work into it, but Dummy, there you go. Dummy does not like this map. This is usually one of his other banned maps. And knowing that, it's probably going to be a bit of a cakewalk for Trolla, unless a lot of mistakes come out of here and Lingo and Odaz, it should be a relatively easy match for them. Cosmos can, in fact, look to do some damage. Ooh, Odaz ends up going wide. I'm not sure if he ended up touching the wall there, but seeing from his exit speed there, yeah, no, he made a big mistake. So Dummy's back in the fight. Lingo still up in front. It scares me to see the position like this. We don't want another Trolla. Oh, Cosmos messed up the exit speed. Odaz just needs to go inside, makes a little bit of a bump. Dummy will not have enough speed to overtake Odaz. And it'll be a victory for Trolla, starting with a 2-1. And just to bring this map back, this other match back up, just so you can see it. It is currently 8-7. Damascus Gaming is still not out of that fight. So we'll have to see what happens with them over there. I'll leave that one up there for y'all to keep an eye on that map. Cosmos now up in front with Odaz. Lingo making a big mistake, but still in the fight against Dummy. Cosmos goes a little bit wide there. Odaz ends up clipping the inside, and that's going to allow him to run in. Dummy will also follow. Cosmos ends up going to inside. A mistake you would not expect to see. So Dummy now up in front, but Dummy has been struggling a little bit with the ID, at least in the first round. Into the identity now. Dummy just needs to play this one safe. Lingo is starting to approach. Dummy will be able to get that one in. Cosmos! Oh!
Victory.
About I'm going to do a little bit of quick math. Okay, I'm not going to do my quick math. About 0.03 of a second difference that allowed Air Kentucky to get that victory, tied up again between these two. There is a lot of pressure. Happy to see Air Kentucky still able to battle this one out, as I know this is not one of their favorite maps. So this is a close one. Again, on the other side, Yep Team up 9-8. So they're looking to try to close this one out on Damascus Gaming and take the first map. Ooh, Dummy doing a good job in this plastic, able to come right back into the fight. Oh, but I'm not sure what happened there. Dummy ends up flying around. I think he ends up having a little bit of a lag spike, unfortunately. At least that's how it looked like. So Dummy's out of this fight. Cosmos now is going to be the one to battle his way into first place, but Lingo with a good lead, 0.2 ahead. All comes down if Cosmos is willing to make a push here. Trying to go more for the inside. No, he ends up going a little bit wide, so that's not going to allow him to make as much of a push as he would like. He may clip that wall, and Odaz is able to get up there and take an ace, so it's going to be 6-3 now as Trolla's running that one away. And just so you can see on your screen, Yep Team does win the first map 12-8 against Damascus Gaming. That is, in fact, an elimination match as well, as that is the losers quarterfinal, I believe, if I remember correctly. Yes, it is the losers quarterfinal. The only map the match I'm not able to get up on screen for you, unfortunately, is the Air White versus Wolf Esports. But if I had to make a prediction, no offense to Wolf Esports, but I think Air White will be able to walk away with that one. We will find out soon enough. So Odaz again, way a little bit farther back. Dummy and Cosmos goes for the wider line. Allow them to get a little more exit speed. Coming around the bend and into the grass. Lingo ends up going a little bit wide. Goes for the lower line that gives him more exit speed. And again, against Dummy and Cosmos. But Odaz is right here behind. Dummy and Cosmos tend to go for a little bit wider line there. They're able to work this one out. But Odaz looking to maybe have a little more exit speed. Dummy ends up clipping. And because of that, that gives the victory to Trolla. 8-4. And a track point available for Trolla. A victory by minimum now at this point. That is a rough one. You had some good time ahead, but loses that one. Air Kentucky looking to try and salvage anything they can out of this one. Lingo again up in front. Really been doing a good job holding that lead. He's either in the front or he's in the back. It's pretty much how it looks like. Into water wheel part, and everyone seems to have a pretty good exit speed here. And like I said, Lingo's either up in the front or in the back, and Lingo ends up clipping a wall. And that allows Air Kentucky to now be up in front. Odaz is going to be really pushing for a low turn there. And nicely done. Has a lot more exit speed into this one. Cosmos and Dummy trying to fight their way back into the front. Odaz looking to get into this checkpoint in second place. Cosmos makes a mistake. Odaz is going to be up in front. Dummy cannot get up there. Lingo ends up making a mistake. I don't know what happened with his exit speed, but he caught up out of nowhere, but a draw still will happen as Odaz was able to capitalize on the mistakes from Cosmos. 9-5. Trolla looking to close this one out. Air Kentucky needs at least 2 aces to take this map. But how things have been going and how Lingo's been able to hold that front, it's going to be hard. Because if Lingo's not up in front, it's Odaz. And if Odaz ain't up front, it's Lingo. It just seems to be like that. The two of them are really good. I don't know if they're communicating or if they're just chilling with jamming to some music or not. But oh, I have the power of commentator curse. As I complimented both Trolla players, they both clipped out at the same exact spot. They held hands as they made that mistake. Oh, but Dummy makes a little bit of a mistake, but they have Cosmos up way up in front. 5 seconds for Lingo, 6 seconds behind for Odaz. They just need to walk this one in a nice way, even though Cosmos made a little bit of a mistake. An ace from Air Kentucky. Now ace needs to happen again from Air Kentucky. Otherwise, no matter what other outcome comes out, Trolla will be able to take this map, even though they made a mistake. This is I may have finally instilled commentator curse on you, chat. Easy for me. I have the script. Yeah, I've been just reading this the whole time, man. This whole time. And I just ripped my notes apart. Either way. Air Kentucky are looking to try to get an ace. Trolla can sit comfortably where they are right now. But with the pack so tight, we don't know what's going to happen. Dummy ends up clipping. He's going to have to bank on both players making a mistake now. If Cosmos can get up in front and set up a victory, Dummy will have to push as hard as he can. Dummy's a little bit too far behind. Cosmos is able to gain over 1, but falls again behind. Lingo in a really good lead now. Even though you see him catching up, Cosmos is going to be sliding out and losing a lot of that speed. That could be an ace. And it will be an ace. Trolla will be on the board now. 1-1 in the series. Let's check out what's going on the other side as Damascus Gaming is up 5-3 now in the second map, but down in the series 1-0. That is DJ is just chilling, man. Is regionals on E-maps? Yes, it is on the E-maps. The same maps you can play in matchmaking if you're gold or higher. And as you can see, Damascus Gaming and Yep are playing on Control as the second map, which I believe is the DG pick. So looking forward to seeing how the rest of that match is going to play out, but we will tune back in to that match in just a little bit as we see a victory for DG. They're going to be 7-4 now. But here we are on the third track, tied in the series 1-1 on Vortex. Bit of a rough ramp there as Dummy took a little bit more air. And now Odaz and Lingo just battling it out with Cosmos as Dummy is spectating from behind. Really is trying to push this one, though, into the reactor down. Ooh, and Lingo makes a big mistake, not only just bumping into one wall, but bumping into two. And that means he is pretty much going to be out of this one as he's now over 5 seconds behind. Cosmos really just trying to find any way to get it on the inside of Odaz. Goes for a more inside line. And again, another inside line. Had to release a little bit as he could have touched that wall. Odaz now is going to be battling both of them into this one. Who is the most brave to try to keep the most grip and most speed? Dummy didn't have as much speed. Odaz trying to get as much SDing as possible, but Cosmos and Dummy are both full speed players. So keeping that speed in the end of that grass is not going to be hard for them. A victory will start this one off for Air White. Starting with a 2-1. And, of course, as the match is starting to close in for Damascus Gaming and Yep Team, I'll throw that one on your screen so you can see what's going on. 8-5 now as DG is looking to try to close that one out and tie the series 1-1. I do not know what's going on with Air White at the moment, unfortunately, as Air White and Wolves Esports, the only two that we are not able to spectate for now. But Air White, I'm getting some news. Air White is currently leading 2-0 and 7-1 in map 3. So looking pretty good for Air White, not so much for Wolves Esports. See if they'll be able to bounce back. Of course, I will admit, like I said at the beginning of the stream, I will be a little bit biased caster because of the fact that I also come from the Air Squad. But much love for everyone in the NCSA region. Lingo with a better outside speed going into this identity now. Odaz in the third place position looking to draw, or excuse me, tie this one up again. Draw is just the word that just stuck in my mouth because of the amount of draws we saw earlier. Dummy. Congrats, Dummy. You got a BM finish. Bias casting, gasp. I know. How could I? No love for EU. Hey, we're in NCSA right now. If I go and cast EU, then I'll show my love to EU. But right now, it is the final regional of NCSA. If I get invited to cast EU, then yeah, I'll show my love to EU. I love EU. They dominate the scene, so that's why I gotta root on for the underdogs. I am one of the underdogs. Come on. Speaking of underdogs, Dummy falls a little bit behind, but again, does a really good job at this part and able to push through. And just so that everyone did, if you were not paying attention, Damascus Gaming was able to, in fact, win that one. So we will tune in back with them later on. And right now, Air Kentucky, sandwiched by the two players, trying to go for a draw at least. Odaz really doing a good job pushing as hard as he can, going for those real inside lines, but unfortunately loses a little bit of speed out of that one. So this could be tricky for him. Cosmos ends up making a mistake. Dummy needs to just survive. Odaz ends up bouncing off one of their little ring plasticky thingies. I don't know exactly what they're called, but because of that, we got another draw. Uh-oh. Who's the best air squad? Oh, man, now you're putting me on the spot. Now my biasm goes away. Now, if we're talking about World Tour points, Air White is up top. And currently, Air Kentucky is looking to fight their way up into the top part of Dummy. Oh, no. Dummy made such a big mistake that he has to wait for the rotations. Oh, no. Oh, no, we lost Dummy. Unfortunate. I think he had a little bit of a problem, but as the rules, Cosmos will have to continue playing this one out. And then we'll probably look to get a pause after this round. Luckily, I have the one and only. Nope, we got Dummy back. We got Dummy back. So we'll see after this one. But either way, I have the best admin, SRK, with me in my ear. So if a pause needs to happen, he'll let us know. Either way, Cosmos will be up ahead. Odaz and Lingo looking to fight their way in. Yeah, Ripperoonie and Shirley, but Cosmos will get up in front, so that will be a draw still. no matter what, if you are down, you will be able to draw that one. So we may be looking at getting a pause potentially. Just to double check. Yes, there it is. We have a pause. So we're going to make sure that the two of them are, in fact, okay. And we just want to make sure that Dummy can, in fact, play. So while that happens, we will get both of these screens up for you. And as you can see, the Yep side is currently playing. Yep, up 3-0. They had an ace at the beginning. A little bit of a surprise, but at the same time, not surprised. So we're currently just waiting for some information. And then we'll be able to get that all up for you. My apologies, folks. I'm just looking on from the outside, looking in, trying to figure out exactly what's going on. But a draw at a Yep team in Damascus Gaming. DG looking a little bit, looking like they're struggling a tiny bit. I'm generally surprised. Not what I expected out of the two of them, but we'll see what happens with them coming up next. And it does seem that we are on Vortex for both teams, which is pretty cool. Let's put this one on Dummy to make sure what's going on with him. Let's check out what's going on this side. Neil and Exotica. Ooh, they go for the bug slide strat. Now, that's a little bit of a tricky one. You want to go up high, bug slide, to just stop yourself on the top and then cruise along with the rest of it and be fine there. So, works out nicely for them. Is still surprised to see DG struggling a little bit, but we'll find out. We'll find out what's going on with them. Maybe they're just chilling. They're relaxing. No big deal. Like I said, they currently have 43 points. The running up team is Airwalk with 18 points in the entire division. So, or the regional, I should say. No big deal for them. But a victory for Damascus Gaming, as Yep will be still in the lead, but the lead slowly closing in. We finally have the match going up, so let's get that up on screen for you all. And again, tied up 5-5. As Dummy unfortunately did have a little bit of a problem earlier, but it won't stop us there. Also just realized, where's the name tags? There they are. Now we know who's who. Lingo up in front. Dummy is going to be battling him out. Cosmos and Odaz fighting in the back. And into the bobsleigh. Well, this probably one of the hardest parts of this entire map is not flipping or losing, because you are on ice in a bobsleigh with no engine, so it's not like you can push your car around too much to line up properly. But all four players get through nicely. Odaz, unfortunately, clipping the little fence thing, whatever you want to call it, a railing. And it's going to make him fall behind, and another draw. We're going to be 6-6. Folks, get your Trolla emotes ready to go, because it is looking like we are leading there. As someone has been casting alone this whole time, I may or not be dreading it a tiny bit. That's okay. We love to have more Trackmania on your screen. The more, the merrier. Ooh, Odaz ends up bumping the ramp a little bit and puts him out in 4th place. Lingo in the middle of this little couple of Dummy and Cosmos holding hands up in front. Odaz really pushing that jump, but even though you have a lot of speed, it's really hard to recover from that one, so he's going to fall up a little bit behind. Nicely going through the entire bobsleigh, all four players. Odaz opts to go for the inside with a little bit of release. I know some people just tend to do a little bit. Dummy ends up falling off. Excuse me. We'll talk about that one later. Cosmos now, the only one up there trying to battle Lingo. We may potentially be seeing this draw taken away. Lingo, Cosmos, and Odaz cleanly going through it. And a victory for Trolla now, putting them in lead. It's going to be 8-7. Both players, or both teams, excuse me, will still be in track point.
Victory.
But a victory for Trolla, or better, will work out as Air Kentucky are looking to try to get an ace to close this one out. Speaking of seeing people about to close one out, tuning back in, Yep team is currently up 9-5 against Damascus Gaming. That is not something we really would expect to see, but hey, DG's chilling. Sorry, I know I keep saying that. I know I keep bringing that up, but like I guess for me, it's just more of a little bit of a shocker knowing how good Damascus Gaming could be. But either way, they're secure. They'll be fine. Cosmos up in front, though. Dummy in the back. Whoa, no dummy. Makes a big mistake there, Lingo. And Odaz now chasing down Cosmos. Cosmos needs to hold this one off and get a draw to just buy them a little bit more time. But Lingo, a lot more speed. Oh, Cosmos needs to hold off. He could not, though. And Trolla will be taking this third map. That is a rough one to see if you were Cosmos. They were holding that one up front. And also, looking on the other side, we do have an ace as well coming out of Yep Team. So, 2-1, Yep Team and Damascus Gaming. Yep Team will be up in the lead, while over here on our side, it will be 2-1 for Trolla. Going into our next track here, Control. And I believe this is the Trolla pick. And Dummy looks to be lagging a little bit. But hopefully his internet will be able to hold on going into this next round. Yep, there we go. I think we're losing Dummy. Okay, he's there. He's there. Good, good. Game on. On to Control now, one of the harder maps, I would say, in the map pack, as it requires you to really control your car in the air. That's not something you're used to doing. Odaz ends up falling a little bit behind on that tech turn. As you can see here, you don't want to bounce, so you can get right back down and start driving a little bit faster. Get that gear 5, and then again, another control moment. Not going too fast in that air as you can go flying over that entire thing. Odaz with a lot of top speed. Doesn't get as high as he wants, so he's going to be the one wiggling through that. Oh, Lingo did not have the best exit, I would say, as Dummy and Cosmos are up in front, but Lingo is still battling his way. Cosmos makes a mistake. I did not see what the mistake was, but he did. Oh, Odaz ends up making a mistake. So did Lingo. As long as Cosmos is able to walk this one in, he does. And that's an ace for Air Kentucky. A good way to start that one off for them. Now, I know Lingo tends to be the push it, and Odaz tends to be the one who seems to be more on the control side, trying to, no pun intended again. Ugh. So many puns today, I'm sorry. But either way, it's surprising to see both players making mistakes as they do, but Odaz has shown off a lot of good skills that he has and how he can really fight if Lingo makes a mistake. Dummy up in front. Into the control part. You want to try to land low there so that you can start really pushing this one. You want to get a lot of speed going into that ice wall. A much better play out of Odaz there, as it looks like Dummy was the one who ends up falling the farthest behind out of everyone. Cosmos on the edge of that tightrope, almost falling off. And we did see a big mistake coming out of both Trolla teams. Odaz ends up making the mistake again. And this is looking like it's going to be a draw. That's going to allow Kentucky Gamers to still stay up in front 4-1.
Draw.
Odaz is going to have to clean up that identity if he really wants to see Trolla get more points on that board. Good on Lingo to be able to hold that front, though. Staying on board with Odaz, as he has been able to play pretty much majority of the track very well. Just cleaning up that identity. Lingo and Odaz still holding up that front. Cosmos ends up falling behind. Now Dummy and Odaz up in the front, first and second. Lingo not too far out of the equation, but we'll have to clean this one up as we go into the jump of the half identity, the mini identity. Still gets enough speed, stays up high, and plays that one nicely. Now, Cosmos, unfortunately, will be out of the equation for a little bit, as Dummy now has to be the one to make the push. Try to go for the draw at least, unless a mistake comes out. Again, hop on board with Lingo so we can see both players go up. And everyone was able to clearly go through that one, but Dummy almost gets in there.
Victory.
0.006 of a second difference. And Trolla will get a victory, only down by 2 now. On to round 4 of track 4. All 4 players still within reach of each other. Dummy ends up making a little bit of a mistake. Odaz goes a little bit high. So Dummy did get a good landing. That allowed him to get up in front. Ooh, Dummy makes a mistake. Almost hits that wall. Now really just fighting his gears. He's going to be a little bit low. Okay, he was able to compensate for that one. Cosmos still fighting Lingo up front. Lingo really killing it on this wall here. Done perfectly. Really try to keep that 4th gear. Cosmos did lose it. Gets it back now as Lingo is going to be able to push it. As you can see, more than likely Lingo did get that 4th gear, and Odaz probably also did. So you can see how much of a difference that could trail across the entire thing. Cosmos able to stay low there and able to walk that one in. So it's going to be another victory. Air Kentucky is only going to be up by 1, though, 6-5. This is getting tighter and tighter. Air Kentucky did have a good lead on points. And slowly but surely, Trolla is working their way back. We look on the other side, though. Damascus Gaming finally looking to show some life as they are up 8-4 in pool on their fourth map. They're down by 1. It's 3-1. Ooh, but a mistake coming out of Neil, or excuse me, Exotica. So Neil will be the one that's up in front fighting that one. But on the map that we are currently watching, it looks like Cosmos ends up making a little bit of a mistake, falling a bit behind. Still in this fight, though. Really trying to go for that inside line. Lingo still able to hold that front. Odaz also with a really good line coming out of that one. Everyone's able to get through that one. Ooh, Odaz, a little bit of trouble there. And Cosmos. Oh, Odaz ends up hitting the wall. Cosmos now up in front. Lingo trying to keep the speed up. Trying to keep Dummy out of the equation. It's all going to come down to the identity. Who will be pushing this one? Cosmos ends up bumping that one. Lingo lands nicely and going to get in there. Odaz will be the one to follow as well. Cosmos, unfortunately, throwing that one. Could have been a victory for them, but it's going to be tied 7-7. We are looking at a potential Trolla moment again. Damascus Gaming is up 9-5 and looking to finishing there, and even a draw will be enough for Damascus Gaming on their side. Keeping that up on your screen as we look to see that one finish up. Odaz and Lingo doing a really good job in this round, holding hands up front. Cosmos pushes a little bit too hard. He's going to land a little bit late. So now Odaz and Lingo's lead continues to extend as Dummy falls 0.3 behind the leader. Really going for that inside line, but doesn't really work out too well for him. Nicely done through that ice, all 3 players, as Cosmos as well is able to close in on the rest of them, really pushing hard. Still over a second behind, but still. If anything happens here, if any mistakes happen, Lingo up front. All 4 players get through that identity, except Cosmos, unfortunately. And that's it. That is track point. Trolla is going to walk away with this one. They are now on match point, as well as Damascus Gaming able to close that one up. So for Trolla, this is looking good. They may be looking to go into the grand finals if they are able to close this one out as we move on to Grip for Air Kentucky. It's going to be scary. Air Kentucky really wanted to win this one. They really needed to go into that grand finals to secure themselves in the wild card and the final chance, because tomorrow Air Kentucky could be going up against potentially Yep Team, Damascus Gaming, or Air White. I mean, I'm not going to count out Wolves, but Air White, honestly, is probably the stronger team. Those are 3 different teams that could throw your entire chance in total. So good luck to Air Kentucky, because now there's a lot more pressure on your back. Trolla looking to just walk this one in now. Currently up by 2 in the round. Dummy, again, clipping that one. We've been seeing him over and over again on the stream. He's constantly making mistakes there on other matches. So now it's just down to Cosmos. In the quiet waters, Odaz is able to push forward into the identity. We'll see if Odaz is going to push to try. Maybe. No, he's actually going to play this one safe. Really allow Lingo to push this one if he needs to. Cosmos, makes a mistake. And we're going to be starting this one off with an ace for Trolla. Pressure is just really, really building up. Interesting question in the chat, actually. Is action keys involved in this map? That is up to you. It's completely up to you. I know some players do, in fact, use action key. Personally, I use the action. No, wait, the dummy get that checkpoint. So freaking low, and he was able to get just barely his wheel through that checkpoint, but then Cosmos makes a mistake. So now Dummy is all by himself up front against the other 2, or Trolla. Yeah, I use action keys in that identity, so some players may use it. Excuse me. Oh, Dummy, not with the best outside dirt. Lingo's going to be up in front, and Odaz with more speed is going to get past Dummy in this engine off, but Dummy goes for more inside line. That allows him to stay up in second place. Really going to have to push this one. Odaz, again, will more than likely play the safe line, as you can see. He's only getting about 180 to 190. You can push this up to 200 to 202, but then now Dummy, who was in a position to deny the ace, makes a mistake. Both players just really making too many mistakes at the last second one. That's really unfortunate there, but now Cosmos and Dummy, both of them need to just get a cleaner run, as it's always been one of them up in front in these past 2 rounds and then making mistakes at the end. Much better start by Dummy and Cosmos up there. Now it's going to really come down to that little jump here and see if Dummy will clip or not. No, he won't. All right, we got a full match going. All four players have made it through the parts where mistakes have happened. And potentially now a water bounce could happen from any of them. I am not trying to empower my commentator curse at all, I swear. It's been pretty strong today, I gotta say. Lingo up in front. Dummy's going to be the one pushing. Odaz, more than likely looking to play that one safe again. Dummy does get a good push. Up in front, could look for a draw, but mistakes have happened here. He's able to pull that one off, and Dummy will be the first one in. And a draw, and a Brazil on the screen for y'all. Trolla, track point, match point. They could even walk this one in with 3 draws if they really had to. Not looking good for Air Kentucky, as they're going to have to really start acing their way through this one. Oh, and I didn't even get to see the times, but I see an NT in the chat, so that means that must have been a really good time out of Dummy. Probably a PB for all I know. Dummy does that sometimes. Oh, mistake by one of them. It looks like it was Odaz, ends up falling behind. So this is a really good position for Air Kentucky, but Cosmos is going to have to push. No room for safe driving now, because you got Lingo trailing his way in. And yet, just like that, Lingo is starting to really pull into Dummy's region. Odaz is a little bit far behind, but still in a spot that he can capitalize on any mistakes that are going to happen here. Dummy's still up in front. Odaz is going to probably play it safe for Lingo. Again, Cosmos has to push a little bit. Dummy is going to get up in front. It's going to be a victory, but it's only going to be 3-8. Trolla can afford to go for a couple more victories. Not looking strong for Air Kentucky. Cosmos and Dummy. Either player has just been pushing hard, and the other one tends to struggle a little bit behind. While Lingo and Odaz seems to have a pretty good formula going. Currently, Air Kentucky up in front. Cosmos starting to fall a little bit behind as Lingo's really starting to push into Tommy's world. Odaz unfortunately clipping a part of the wall I don't think I've ever seen anyone clip before. Cosmos really trying to push this one. If he can get this ace, they can really start to set themselves up in a better position. But Lingo still putting a lot of pressure onto Dummy. Dummy ends up clipping. And because of that, it's going to be a draw. Oh, my goodness, Cosmos. Almost gets in there. It's going to be a draw, though. 9-4. At this point, Air Kentucky can't afford anything but acing left and right. And then when you have Lingo who can fall behind a little bit and just push his way all the way through the rest of the map, it's not going to be looking good if you are Air Kentucky. Maybe even Odaz could look to try to get a deny on them. Even getting second place for Trolla. If either player is in second place, you're in a good position. Again, a good start for Air Kentucky. But this is where Lingo starts to gain a lot of his speed as he goes for the really nice outside line. Really pushing this one in because you have an engine off in the water, but Lingo bounces. It's all down to Odaz now. He just has to get at least second place. Just needs to push onto Cosmos to close this one out and move to the grand finals, but he is... Oh, Cosmos ends up going wide. Odaz is in a really good position. He just has to play this one safe. He does, and that's going to be it. Trolla will be moving on to the grand finals. And Cosmos and Dummy with Air Kentucky will fall down into the losers finals. Great gameplay coming out of Trolla and Air Kentucky. Oh, man. That was a close ending. That was a very exciting ending, but unfortunately does not work out for our boys over at Kentucky Gaming. So they will be playing tomorrow in the losers bracket final and could potentially be versing a huge arsenal of teams. So let's go and check out this other side now, which will be the, if I remember correctly, it is the loser bracket quarterfinals. Air White and Wolves Esports battling it out. They're the only ones we don't see on the screen, while Yep and Damascus Gaming, who you see on the screen right now, is in fact battling this one out. So just got some information. Air White did in fact win 4-0. And whoever wins this match will be going up against Air White. Good start for Damascus Gaming as they just need at least a victory. Exotica making a little bit of a mistake. BMQS really trying to push this one in against Neil. BMQS and Simon both seem to be going hand in hand on this one. Simon ends up going a little bit wide, so now it's all down to BMQS. Simon actually ends up falling behind. That's really good for an Exotica who's trying to get into this fight. Oh, but an Exotica makes a mistake. So he falls behind. So again, it's up to Neil, who's going to try to stay up in front and hold off BMQS. Really good job up in front. And it's going to be a draw. And this is going to make this a 9-8 match unless something happens from Simon. Nothing happens, so an Exotica will have to walk this one in.
Draw.
So we're not even done with this match. I wish I could get this one on my main monitor so we can get a little bit better quality, but for some reason I cannot see this round. Anywho. Damascus Gaming up in the front now. Ooh, Neil looks to make a little bit of a mistake and a lot of exit speed gone. So it's going to bring him all the way back, but even a draw will be just enough for Damascus Gaming to win this one and move themselves to match point. Neil still in this battle. Simon trying to do anything he can to knock Neil out of this one. Exotica goes for the risky line, ends up hitting the light, and is completely out of this one. BMQS up in front. If Simon can at least hold this position, we can look for a draw, or excuse me, a tie and go into overtime. Neil just needs to push this one now. BMQS play this one cleanly, and he does. And we are going to be going to overtime, our first one on the broadcast. Unfortunate for an Exotica to fall out of that one. Here we are, folks. Our first overtime. And at this point, it just comes down to whoever wins. You need a victory. You need an ace. Doesn't matter. You just need to get anything but a draw. Simon ends up falling a little bit behind. Exotica goes for a little ramp hop where you jump off the side to land faster, but unfortunately it doesn't work out for him. So now Neil will have to get a draw to continue this overtime. It was a little bit safer. BMQS is able to push up on that one. Gotta watch out for the slide out here. BMQS doing a nice job. Ends up hopping a little bit, so Neil is going to have more exit speed. Simon's still in this fight. Exotica is 4 seconds behind. He's pretty much out of this one. Neil does seem to keep it clean and able to get that one in. So that will be another overtime. It'll be 11-11, folks. We got a we thought Trolla was going to be the team to do this, but it looks like it's Damascus Gaming, and yep.
Draw.
And as we saw before earlier, Trolla is sitting in the grand finals as they took out Air Kentucky. Air Kentucky keeping an eye on this game because whoever wins this one will verse Air White. And if I was Air Kentucky, I would really hope Damascus Gaming is the one to lose. They have won every single regional. This is the first time we've ever seen them fight their way out of the loser's bracket. Oh, bumped by Neil. He's going to have Exotica be the one that has to set up the draw, but Neil, again, is going to be able to recover BMQS. This one falls pretty far behind. So a victory position as Exotica just needs to hold the front. Oh, Simon makes a mistake. So it looks like we may be able to just walk this one, and Exotica makes a mistake. So now, even though we thought this was going to be bad, Exotica is pretty much dead. He can't move. He's not resetting. Where did Simon go? Simon's still in the ice. So we're looking into a draw position. Exotica ends up sliding out. BMQS is up in front. Neil is going to walk this one in. I'm sorry for all the camera changes, but at this point, everyone's so spread out, we don't know what's going to happen. Simon cannot touch a tree. He needs to play this one safely. He touches a tree slightly, but it's not going to be enough. Exotica makes a mistake, and we got another draw happening. 12-12 now, and we're not even on match point. Whoever wins this will go to match point. So many mistakes coming out of both ends. Not what we expected to see. So now Neil and Exotica up in front. Exotica opts not to go for the riskier play. Just jumps off the ramp. Oh, big mistake by an Exotica. Neil's now the one up in front. The MQS really trying to push himself up in front. Simon actually goes from last to second and maybe even first. Neil's able to get through that ice nicely. Still keep the front. Exotica pretty much out of this fight now. Neil falls a little bit behind. Now trying to get up in front, nose to nose, neck to neck, and Neil makes the mistake. And that's it. Damascus Gaming gives up this one. And Yep team will be on match point as we are going to be moving on to potentially the last map of the day. This region is a little crazy, if you ask me. I'm not 100% sure what is going on in this regional. All right, so here we go. Moving on into the last... potential last. Could be the penultimate, can be the final. We won't know until this is all over. BMQS makes a little bit of mistake. Simon is the only one in the battle right now. This is a pretty good map for Neon Exotica. I've seen them play really well in this one. I have not seen so much from Yep team, how they play on Airwalk. Simon is still the only one that is in this battle right now. Simon opting to go for the inside line. I don't know if that's really the one you want to do, because as you see, you have to brake a lot as your car is going to tilt a little bit, and you may smack a wall. So now Neon Exotica in an ace position. Let's check it out from the sky as well. We can bring that one up there for you. And just like that. Whoa. Exotica ends up... What happened? Exotica ends up resetting. Oh, no. He made a big mistake. And it looked like he actually overjumped that bumper, and he was out of there for that one. Hate to see that one. Couldn't really see it from my angle. Tried to give you guys the air view. But we start off with a draw. Damascus Gaming. Really struggling now. Simon is going to be starting off a little bit behind. Oh, Exotica releases a little bit. They're going to try to land a little bit earlier and try to build some speed into this turn here, and it works out beautifully for an Exotica. BMQS, the only one that is in contention to take out either Neon Exotica, but we're still pretty early in the map. As we come around here again, you probably want to go for more of an outside entrance here, and Exotica is able to pull that one off and have a little bit more speed going into this one. Setting up for the identity now. Simon is pretty far back. We could probably see a little bit more from his angle. All three players able to bounce, but an Exotica is the first one in. Neil ends up disappearing. BMQS also had to reset, and we're going to see another draw. We're in for the long haul, folks.
Draw.
We are in it for the long haul. If there is a map to happen where we can get a Trolla situation, this could be the map. This could be the map. Again, a little bit of a rough start for Simon. It seems that Simon doesn't have the beginning as perfect as the other three. I say perfect. But, no matter what, I gotta stop talking about people personally, because every time I say their names, I see them fly off. So an Exotica ends up bumping the wall. So Neil is going to be the one that's going to be coming in to fight BMQS. Going towards the identity again. Ooh. That's the dangerous part about actually air braking, is that you can clip your wall if you're too far to the left. BMQS does get off the spring. And just like that, BMQS is able to close that one out. Keep it on another draw. We're going 3-3. Okay. This is a slow and painful moment for Damascus to try to hold on. That is a yep draw if I've ever seen one. Off into the spring. Exotica may have gone too far to the right, and so did Simon. But Exotica was able to actually still somewhat land it. I thought he was going straight into that hole. And now Neil is going to be battling BMQS up in front. Anything they can do. Let's actually get this on screen so you can kind of get both perspectives that the two of them are battling their way up in the front going into the identity. We're going to know exactly who gets in and who doesn't as we go into the identity here. BMQS gets it low and able to get that one in. And it works out perfectly for him. And Simon will be the last one in. So another draw coming out of this one. We are walking our ways up here. Hey, this is Yikes. I saw someone in the chat say, can we get to 100? The worst part that could happen is we can get to 100 and then Damascus Gaming wins and then we have to go to a 7th map. I would hate to be any of these players. Simon again in the back. Exotica and Neil tend to be able to really push for an ace position, but then mistakes happen towards the end. I'm not 100% sure what is going on, but all 4 players are still in contention. This is not that bad of a run. All right, going into this final part here, into the final bend. All the players are going for the ID. Can they get this one? BMQS is still up in front. Again, we get another draw. It just keeps happening. It's never going to end. We are 5-5, folks. It will never end. Draw. Oh, my goodness. And just to answer the question, no, the finals will not be played today. This is the last game of the day, and we will be continued tomorrow in the losers semifinals. So we'll only have 3 more tomorrow. Simon ends up making a little bit of a mistake here. So Neil and Exotica are going to be fighting their way up again against BMQS. This has got to be painful. This has to be painful, all of them. I hate to be in the position they are in right now. So they're going to be trying to push their way into the identity again. Simon has fallen pretty far behind, so if anyone makes a mistake, we're going to get that back on the board for you to see it as we go into the identity. The MQS does land it, and Exotica looks like he might be going a little bit wide. He ends up flipping his way into there. My goodness. Oh, my. This is... Oh. I don't know, folks. What do we think? What do we think? Who will break the curse? I can't say anything. I don't want to say anything. I don't want commentator curse to happen. I'm going to let you, in chat, you decide who is going to break this tie. You let me know in the chat. Is it going to be F-Team or is it going to be DG? 6-6. It's not like either team could even finish this one yet. Even with an ace, we still have to keep going. 7 rounds of this so far. Exotica makes a mistake. It looks like we may have finally broken the curse. Maybe we're breaking the curse. We don't know yet. Simon has been the one that's been falling a little bit behind of everyone. Neil is actually up in front now. Never mind. Did I curse us again? Did it happen again? Oh, Neil makes a mistake. We may actually see an ace that can happen. BMQS is up in front. Simon to follow. Neil ends up... Oh, and Exotica could have actually stopped that one. Oh, finally. The curse has been broken. But this is where things get a little scary. Yep, team is now on match point and track point. This is potentially the last round. Damascus Gaming could see elimination for the first time. I'm speechless. I'm speechless! The MQS and Simon both end up going a little bit too wide there, so they both fall behind. And Simon, unfortunately, this is not the map for him to push up and try to get a clutch. It's going to be BMQS who's going to try to do something about this. If Neil and Exotica don't make a mistake, we can, in fact, get another tie on the board. The MQS really making a push. Really trying to get inside. Looking pretty good now as we go into this one. The MQS pulls it off. And that's it, folks. For the first time ever. The first time ever. Damascus Gaming has been officially eliminated from a regional. Let me repeat that for you folks if you have not heard that. Damascus Gaming has officially been eliminated from a regional. 5 regionals in a row they have won. And they have just been eliminated from a regional. What? What? That is something I'd never expected to see. BMQS played out of his mind at the end, and Simon just able to hold on by like the grip was like, just barely holding on. But for the first time, Damascus Gaming has been eliminated. Yep team will be moving on tomorrow, and probably not exactly for the first time, but finally, I would say Air White is probably very happy that they are officially not versing Damascus Gaming on a day 2 broadcast. So congratulations to Yep team. You have moved on to the losers semifinals. You'll be taking on Air White. Air White and Yep team will be battling their way into the losers bracket final, or the loser bracket final, where they will be seeing Air Kentucky. Now remember, Air Kentucky needs to win that match and get back into the finals if they want to secure themselves into the top 4 going into that wild card and final chance scenario. Because only 4 teams from NCSA is going to move on, and one of the teams that's currently up there, it has not even played one of the regionals in stage 2. So this is pretty incredible to see where we have come like through everything. So GG's to everyone that has played today. Unfortunately, I was not able to play today as my teammate had to get stuck at work, but I got to be here on the main broadcast with all of you. I've had a grand time here, and I really hope you've enjoyed my casting and my broadcasting. I hope you really like the 2 casting thing. Just if anyone wants to give me some feedback, feel free to reach out to me on my Twitter, which is at randomize_V. And I would really appreciate if you gave me a little bit of follow. Love to see you all there. Thank you very much for everyone joining tonight. We are going to be back again tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern for NCSA Day 2 of the final regional. And it'll be me right here again alongside with everybody, and looking forward to it. So, folks, I'll see you all tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, and whatever time period you are in. We'll see you there tomorrow. Have a good night.